Leo, I have been up all night trying to figure out a 2026 video strategy. I know AI's coming for us. Shorts are won't stop. Algorithms are out of control. What do we do?
We go back to school.
Yay! Hey, everybody, welcome to Creator Fury. This is episode number 7. We are talking today about your 2026 strategy for videos and where we are. Where are we right now? 2025 was a huge year in terms of technology and, and stuff. AI slop was a new term that came out of all of that.
Right.
And today we're gonna hit a couple of important points to look for as you move forward with your own video strategy. So all that being said, we'll get to that in a minute. What's going on, Leo? Or how's your week then? Or
Week,
how was your New Year's actually?
my New Year's,
First
we're
episode.
still living in 2025 in a way. Things are getting in my corporate world projects. Things are very slow. They haven't come back yet because I work a lot with the clients in Europe, with a client in Europe, and they haven't been returning from vacation as fast as Americans do. We don't get that much vacation time. They get all the vacation and all the health care, you know, and we don't unless we work for it. So
Well,
that's been my year so far. I have some creative projects that's still moving forward. There's a pitch to Netflix coming up from something that I'm a co-writer on. That's up in the air. That's always up in the air. Again, it's just a pitch,
that's
it's nothing
exciting.
carved in stone. Yeah, I've been there before, so it isn't like I'm gonna get hopes too high. You just hope that the work shows through.
Right,
And
right.
that's been my year so far. What about you, Aaron?
Well, New Year's has come and gone. Uh, I always head out to Minnesota. It's very cold there, and it's getting pretty cold. It's going to drop down in the singles this week. So we're preparing for that. Work is a whole different ball of wax. I've been looking at some animations for a financial company. They're a little bit on hold. Q4 was pretty busy for them in 2025, and now they want to look to hire a point person, I guess, within their company to deal with this project. I think it's going to be something like 10 videos overall, but still waiting to hear on that kind of moving forward. Other than that, things are a little slow right now, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I meant about when you asked about 2026, and I said education is because we are changing. So I might be a little too low right now. Uh, my gain was a
No,
little high.
you're
Okay.
you're fine.
Um, uh, Education and the way everything's happening now, AI is taking a huge cut from everything I see, a huge chunk of work away from people. I think the corporations, or I mean, if you work for corporations or marketing also and advertising, they don't know how to use the tool yet. There's a lot of legalities when it comes to the actors unions, but I had this discussion with some actor friends is that they're in SAG and they're fighting, to make sure that humans are used in production. And I know it's something we're going to talk about the return to the use of humans. But who's losing work are the technicians. You know, if you can create a whole world, even for a speaking actor, even for a human actor, you put them in front of a green screen, then everything else is created with AI. Graphic designers are losing work, animators are losing work, technicians, lighting people. A lot of people are going to be put out of work just from cutting that those jobs away. Sorry,
Yeah,
from the technology being able to cut those jobs away.
right. Do you
How do you feel
think?
about that?
Let me ask you this in terms of that. Do you think that instead of bemoaning the loss of those kinds of jobs? Do you think that people in that industry, in this industry, are needing to shift so that they need to learn the AI tools better?
That's why I said back to school. You have to go back to school. Your job's gonna be gone. You have to learn something different. You can stay within the business as long as you're able to learn something different. Just like back in the day in college, I studied tape to tape editing, you know? And by the time I made it into the industry, I had to learn digital editing
Hmm.
because it was a total different ballgame. And I saw people drop out. One of the first no, one of the first high paying jobs I got was in my first corporate gig, and it was replacing somebody who only knew how to do tape to tape. Well, one of the clients this person had was somebody who only edited tape to tape.
Hmm.
And this guy couldn't get in the rhythm, couldn't get in his head how to do, offline editing, or, what do you call it? Non-destructive editing, whatever they call it,
Yep. NDL.
and that took his job because the guy, I mean, he sat there once in a session and they knew that he had to go back to school for it. And I think he chose not to,
Really?
and we're at that point right now. It's 20 years later, somewhat 20 something years later, and you have to adapt,
Well,
or die, as they say.
I remember speaking to that point of, this industry is always changing. It's always been changing. And I think that that was, like many things, the only constant is the change.
Mhm.
Uh, I remember getting a little bit frustrated early on as an editor, uh, going, a lot of companies and clients were expecting us to know Photoshop and Illustrator and all these other tools that I wasn't really interested in at the time, but as we moved along, it was sort of that was the MO, and so you had to sort of gain those skill
Right.
sets as you went along, and now it's,
Mm.
things have really shifted, and but that's the expectation. If you can't, do one thing, uh, from the suite of tools that are available, then they don't really wanna use you, so you
Right,
have
and
to
people
kind
as
of
people get older,
make that available.
guys like us in their 50s, it isn't that it's harder to learn, there's a certain stubbornness there's a certain stubbornness people have, you know, and also the industry knows that you're gonna need new people. New people are usually younger, coming out of college, who already may know the software, and rather train them because they're also paying them less. And they forget about all the experience we have, and experience means troubleshooting, means knowing the bumps you're gonna hit, seeing ahead the issues. Like I told you off off camera yesterday, that I was assigned a job, and they told me you have 2 to 3 days, and I told them it's gonna take 2 weeks, and now it's a month and a half later, and they got to restart the job because they they blew their budget
Right?
on 2 weeks of editing, knowing, even though I told them it's not a 2 or 3 day job. You have all these different parts that are not gonna fit right, and that comes from experience, from looking at the job and going, how long is it gonna take, the issues, and I'm not saying I'm a negative Nelly, but I'm a person who knows how to spot the potholes in the road, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
as a driver, you
learning a
look
new thing.
2 to 3 cars ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
the
when it comes
important.
to AI right now, and I've been looking into it, trying to work with it, trying to work as an individual is costly because it takes a lot of credits. You have to get credits for each project, whatever. And the way I figured it out, it's like $200 for 3.5 minutes of video,
Mhm,
depending on the platform you're using. And there's so many platforms. And that's where right now we're at the point we have like 1,000 different AI platforms to use, and some of them do
mhm.
different things, but mostly all do the same thing. And what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years is going to come down to three,
Right,
right?
right.
Just like editing. Editing, right now, there's three platforms. There's Avid, which is used in film, right? There's Premiere Pro, which we use in both television, film, and in the corporate world, is Premiere Pro. And then you have Final Cut Pro, which is really what people do for home. There's also DaVinci. DaVinci's been taking a bite out of Premiere because DaVinci came up as a color correcting program,
Mhm.
but a lot of editors are also using that. But Premiere still the main one out of
Right.
those four, right? Premiere Pro is the first one. DaVinci's used mostly for color correcting. And Avid, of course, is the one you use for television and film. And then Final Cut Pro is people use at home, bloggers, influencers, YouTube people.
Well, you're talking about, you know, all these tools that they eventually will, some will fall away.
Right,
And that's what we're kind of seeing right now,
right.
with, China. And I'll talk about that in the news story
Mhm.
that just broke this week. But we're first going to talk about your story.
Yeah, let's bring
But
that up because it kind of falls into what I was talking about. Yeah,
yeah, so Adobe and Apple and all that. Well, let's get to that. Talk about the news
right.
stories. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Right. This news story has to do with what I just mentioned regarding tools, for editing tools or creative tools. Right now, I use mainly Premiere, so do you, and it's part of the creative. It's called Creative Cloud, right? Creative Cloud, and in Creative Cloud, let me see. I bring up a Creative Cloud here. You can't see it, but I'm looking at it right now, and we have After Effects, which is for animations program. We have Media Encoder, which is for exporting videos at different codecs, and of course there's Premiere, which is the editing program, and there's Photoshop, which is for about manipulating photos. And again, there's about 12 programs, and we'll go into each one that we use in Creative Cloud. Now, Creative Cloud's expensive, okay? The average price is 60 plus, depending. Some people may have a company account, which is cheaper overall, depending on how many users you have. Some people may have a student account, which is 20 something dollars a month. But I personally pay about, I think it's $65 a month.
Mhm.
Every month,
Right, and that gets
$65.
expensive. I mean, and
Right.
that doesn't
Just,
end. It's not like
just
12
for
months
using,
only.
right. That means, I got to spend some time of my monthly job, a certain amount of time goes to paying, you know, Adobe the money, which if you're lucky, you can pay it in 1 hour after taxes. you know, so there's all that involved. But now Apple has introduced their own Creator Studio, so that we have Creative Cloud. Now they introduced Creative Studio, and it has various programs to it. It has Final Cut Pro, which I mentioned earlier, which is the editing program, Logic Pro, which is the audio manipulating program, right? Pixelmator is something they just bought. Apple just picked up, which is their Photoshop. Okay, there's Motion, which is their After Effects for animation. There's Compressor, which is their what do they call it?
Media encoder. Adobe's
Media
media
encoder, right?
encoder,
Media
right?
encoder. And the next three programs out here, which are not that good, are Keynote, which is their PowerPoint, right?
Right.
Pages is their
Word.
their words are Word, and Numbers is their Excel, right? And those haven't really taken off. I use it sometimes because if I'm sent an Excel file, I have to open it through Numbers. I'm sent a Word file, I'll open it through Pages, and I'm sent a PowerPoint, I open it through Keynote. But it shifts stuff around, so it's just it's just for
But don't you
viewing.
think that this is January 13th, 3 days ago, that just
Mhm.
came out. Wh-
Yeah,
How late to the table is Apple on all of this? I mean, Adobe's been doing this for decades almost.
you know why? Because AI got them scared. AI got them scared, saying, "Uh-oh, how we're gonna get our stuff to flow quicker with AI? How we're gonna get not trick people? How we're gonna hold on to people who want to create with AI, but gonna need the other tool in order to incorporate AI to projects? Because AI alone doesn't help you. I mean, in our first show, I explained how I used AI to create some animations to include in my project, but everything else was cut in Premiere Pro. The AI stuff, I had to manipulate in After Effects in order to
Hmm.
composite into my video. So you still need all these other tools to make AI
Yeah.
work for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Apple was just content. Apple, first of all, Apple has forgotten about their users for ages. The reason people like us left Final Cut Pro was because of that, because Apple just threw us to the wayside, and all they care about was their
Their
phones,
phone.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They really sort
Um,
of missed the ball. And I think they really missed the ball with Siri. And I know in parallel to this story, they've just recently partnered with Google
mm,
to use Gemini to I guess upgrade Siri. I'm not sure what they're doing. If they're
Yeah,
abandoning Siri or they're what they're doing. But
they're
yeah.
playing catch up right now. Playing catch up. But Apple's always done that. Apple stole the idea of the mouse. Apple stole the idea of the Windows. Apple stole the idea of the trash can.
Oh, they're a bunch of
They have,
thieves. But we
they have a
love
little video,
them,
right?
don't
Yeah,
we? Here's
yeah.
their little promo video.
Oh, cool. Nope. Write it. Yeah. Illustrator. That's it. That's their Illustrator, I guess.
Yeah. Now that
Again,
price
it's
point
the
is
price.
pretty attractive, to be
That's what they're
honest.
selling you. They're selling you the price point, $12.99. Right. But then let's say,
So yeah, so there's
let's say,
like I don't know. Do you want to read any of this, or we
sure,
can
can we read the
we'll
top
put
one?
the links to both of these articles down in
Right.
the down below.
Apple today unveiled Apple Creator Studio, a groundbreaking collection of powerful creative apps designed to put studio-grade power into the hands of everyone, building on the essential role Mac, iPad, and iPhone Play in the life of millions of creators around the world. The apps included with Apple Creator Studio for video editing, music making, creative imaging, and visual productivity give modern creators the features and capabilities they need to experience the joy of editing and tailoring their content while realizing their artistic vision. Exciting new intelligent features and premium content built on familiar experiences of Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pixelmator Pro, that's a terrible name, Keynote, Pages, Numbers, and later Freeform to make Apple Creator Studio an exciting subscription suite to empower creators of all disciplines while protecting their privacy. Okay, so Freeform may be their AI software, maybe.
Okay.
Right? Because Apple, Adobe has Firebird. What's it called?
Adobe has Firefly.
Firefly. So I call it Firebird. Yeah, Firefly. They have Firefly. So it's the same thing. But Firefly costs a lot of money. I mean, Firefly comes with the Creative Suite Studio, whatever it's called. But then you only get so many credits per month, and if you want to have full access, it can cost you hundreds of dollars extra a month just to use the power of Firefly. Again, if you're making money with it, it's fine.
Right.
But even to learn, it's a lot of money.
Right.
You know? Again, you got to go back to school, like I said.
So this is their Final Cut Pro interface, right?
So we can just, I mean, we understand that this is the company, they're selling their software.
Yeah, I love how it goes newsroom, but this really runs like an ad. You know?
Yeah, it's an ad. I mean, again, it's a press release. They send it to different places, and they just cut and paste basically, maybe adjust a little bit to their thing. Maybe they have a little editorial at the end, you know. Montage maker, Final Cut Pro that's users, what? Kickstart the edit in just seconds. On the best visual moments, wow, that's crazy. It's so automatic. Well, Premiere has where you can edit interviews with AI, where they just cut out all the questions or go from person to person asking questions to the answer, you know. I never used it, but
there was another third-party app that I was using for Premiere just about a year and a half ago. The name escapes me, but it was amazing. It really went through like a hour-long piece of footage and just cut out all the gaps, all the ums and ahs, and it was for a multi-camera studio shoot.
right.
It when someone was talking, it cut to that camera, and
Right.
it was really good. It was actually pretty good. Cut down my editing time by hours.
Wow. Yeah, I'm more. The reason I'm afraid to use that is that I'm usually given an edited transcript, you know, and from the transcript itself, I gotta pick places within the timeline that are all over the place, and it's just quicker to do it by hand for me, at least, you know.
Have you
Unless you
ever done from within Premiere just the transcript editing as
no,
your
no, that's what I'm talking
editing?
about. They have that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's an amazing kind of tool that I've used
Right.
lately.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got to try
so
that out.
yeah, so this looks interesting, but was asking you earlier, it feels
Right.
very late to the table, to be
What
honest.
program is that? Is that? Oh, that's the audio program, right?
Logic, yeah, that's Logic Pro. Logic is
Yeah, yeah.
it looks like totally different than it used to.
Right.
Yeah.
Logic, their audio program is much better than the Adobe one. Adobe
Yeah,
one, you
yeah.
can
Yeah, I
you
agree.
can tweak some audio and whatever. But if you want to build something, you're better off. This is much better interface.
Hmm.
The Adobe interface is not good for their was it Audition, Adobe Audition, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's decent. It's well, it's come a long way. Like many things,
Right.
first iterations have always been a little bit clunky, but yeah, this one works very well now.
But when it comes down to just tweaking audio, now you can do it. Now the AI and Premiere handle it pretty well too.
Hmm.
Anyway, so that's the story I've here. Also, when I mentioned about education, is that all right? So now you got to go back to Final Cut Pro, and now you have to get re-educated, go back to it, learn how to use it again. And you want to carry both expenses. You want to carry both studios, both Adobe Studio and Apple Creative Studio, and do you have enough hard drive space? I mean, nowadays we do. Nowadays, we have 2 terabyte computers, but again, a lot of hard drive space, a lot of expenses. So what you got
Yeah,
here?
yeah. So I found this story. I found many stories that they're breaking this, but this just happened this week. And so, like I said, China's coming for us. They're making things faster and cheaper. And this tool that Alibaba just, I guess they purchased this company Pixverse. Um, I'll play this video so we get a little bit more clarity on that. But basically, it's an app that allows you to. But currently with AI, you put in a prompt and then you wait
Mm-hmm.
for the AI to generate its response, and then
Mm-hmm.
you do iterations of that. This one allows you to like direct a picture like you're directing actors. So
Mm-hmm.
you've created a character. Now you want it to cry, and so in real time, it's supposed to do that right now. Now they're saying it sounds amazing and sounds like, oh, well, that's incredible, but like right now it's the first iteration. Um, it's probably a lot of bad AI slop that's going to come out of this initially. But as things improve and the technology goes along, I think that they'll get better and better
So,
as they go.
so does it handle real life, or does it just for like graphic animation type of
I
thing?
think it's mostly just for graphics, but
Okay.
I'll just play this and then I'll jump around here. But this also addresses some issues that Adobe is going through right now too.
Mm-hmm.
Has launched an AI tool that allows users to control how video unfolds while it is being generated. CNBC's senior China correspondent Evelyn Cheng joins us live from Beijing. Evelyn, you spoke with the company's co-founder. What can you tell us?
You direct the AI as it generates the video in real time. So instead of having to wait for it to respond to the prompt, taking maybe half a minute or several minutes, it's acting in real time. So as you tell the actor, the person in the scene to dance, or you ask for a crab to enter the scene, it's going to do that in basically a few split seconds. And the co-founder told me that his vision for this tool is that it could potentially change the way that people watch short dramas. We might all be presented with the same drama in the first 20 seconds, but then after that, we can customize it, personalize it according to how we think we want the drama to unfold. Or for gaming, in this very defined world, you could actually use AI to interact with the game and create what he calls infinite possibilities for the gameplay. All of this is really in the early stages, and we have to see how it pans out, but it's quite a step from this company to release real-time AI. And when I asked the co-founder about, what they think about AI slop and all the concerns about low quality there, well, he compared it to basically the early days of computer graphics. And yes, he said there's going to be poor quality in the near term, but he hopes that as technology improves, the good quality will prevail and it's going to become a much bigger part of the
So yeah, so
Right.
like I'm glad they addressed that because
Right.
you know that's the issue. Like, oh my gosh, it's so
Right.
amazing and da da da. But you know, these are it's sort of like you know when a drug first hits the market, it's not always doing what it's supposed to do right away until they improve it and have more tests
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. The
She
future will
goes
be that
on.
though.
What?
So the future will be that. The future will be you sit in front of your television, right? Tune in and you launch the app on your television and they ask you, so who's the main character? Aaron Sherman. Where is he? 1840s. What does he do? He's a cowboy. What's the story about? And then you just watch the movie. That will be the future. You know,
And people will literally star in their own films. And then
exactly.
so then she goes on to talk about what's going on with
Hmm.
Adobe and Adobe stock right now.
Right.
Adults in Silicon Valley. She pointed out that Adobe stock has been pretty much stagnant over the last several months. And she said that's partly because there's concerns that AI video generation tools, AI tools for design are going to break up that all-in-one creative suite that Adobe has dominated for the industry in recent decades. You can see Quesho, which creates another AI video tool, that stock is up more than 90% over the last 4 months. So wants a competition having right to markets. Back to you.
So yeah, I mean, so I mean, it's interesting that you know Adobe has been kind of stagnant. Now Apple comes out with a similar suite of tools.
Right.
What are they? They're just going to hit that same ceiling, and you know, it's sort of like a wait and see period here.
The main thing is, what do people want to do with AI? In the professional creative platform, if you will, what are we going to use AI for? I know the corporate world and the advertising world and the marketing world is dying to use it because one of the biggest expenses has been, actors, crew, location, insurance, feeding people. That adds up. If you can do all that within a span of a couple of days, just from an idea to video, you're saving all that money. In
Mhm.
the personal space, what do people want AI for? What is the use of AI outside of making a fun video of your family in elf hats, at Christmas time for a Christmas card you're sitting out, sure, you
Right?
do that. But
Yeah. Is
people
it
get bored.
like somebody once recently compared the okay? So we went from silent film to talkies, that was a huge change in everything,
Mhm.
and it was it was actually much more beneficial, whereas I don't think that AI has improved the experience of movie going uh in the way that audio did. In any It's just a new version, a new format. It's not it's not as innovative as the introduction of audio.
Right, but still within the I know a little about the film history, and within that space of silent films to talkie films, there was a transitional space. Chaplin didn't make a talkie until 1935. You know,
Right.
8 years after, again, because he was a master of his craft. So the masters of
Exactly.
the craft kept on doing as much as they could within that silent space, but then actors who didn't have good voices lost their jobs, right?
They
And
did,
people who
yeah,
had
there was
thick, because you
several,
had a lot of
yep.
actors who had thick accents, they were big stars in Europe and came to America to do silent films, by. But then when the silent era started, everything was static. We went from this dynamic silent films, with Buster Keaton, houses falling on him being dragged, whatever, through the river, and the cameras chasing him. You couldn't do that with sound. With sound, you had to be in a static room with a camera pointing straight at the actors and a bunch of microphones really close to them. So it took a while for the industry and technology and the sound to be able to catch up to what the silent era was doing. So that's where we are right now. We have this toy to play with, but we don't know how to use it uh, to the benefit of the craft, whichever craft it is. And that's where we are right now. So,
True.
but technology moves much faster, you
Right,
know.
right, and I think in terms of what happened in 2025 with AI, has really caused people to push back in their distrust of things, to, go back to when we're talking about, videos for businesses. People are starting to put their employees back in front of the camera in order to, like, create that genuine connection, that human connection. And I think that's really the focus of what 2026 will be about, is to stop, just to take that anxiety level that we've all been given with AI, and it's going to drop down a bit to sort of realize, okay, this is just a tool. We're going to go back
Right.
to a more human connection.
But recording their employees is going to feed the AI in the future, isn't it?
True. AI is
You're going to
not
have
going away.
voices. I'm
I'm
sure
not
these
saying,
employees are
but
signing off their likenesses. They're signing off their voices. They're getting a little extra scratch, for it. And then the future from here on, here's Aaron, but then I'm going to change Aaron's complexion. I'm going to give him some hair. I'm going to shave
hey,
off the mustache. And now I have a totally different person that I'm going to use for eternity. Right?
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's a version of that is true, that will happen. Uh, and like I said, AI is not going away. But I think, like you said, right now we have thousands of AI engines, LLMs, and all that. But there's going to be a few that stick around, and then there's going to be
Right.
some that, because I can't afford to purchase subscriptions for every single one. Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, Chat
Right.
GPT. It's ridiculous. So,
Right. Well, but they do have now. You can buy a subscription to one place that holds a bunch of them, 20, 30, 40 of them. But still, you're gonna run one video, you can run out of credits, and you still gotta pay for more credits because people understand it. It runs on credits, And a
yeah.
lot of young people are gonna go broke very fast. A lot of families are gonna realize, oh, little Johnny's upstairs making some dubious AI and spending thousands of dollars a month because they don't know where the money comes from. It's like that video of that girl who got an Apple card, right? And
hmm
she bankrupted herself. She got a bill for like $5,000. She thought that it was free because she had Apple, and she bought a bunch of shit. You heard about that story?
I didn't, but
Because they don't
now
know.
I'm
They don't
like,
know.
I want to see this story.
They don't know. It's just floating. It's just it's just bits and bytes and boobs and bop boop. No, it's money. It's
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
money.
So let's
So what's
talk about, like, what talking about 2026. One
right?
of our main points is, where does that leave the freelance video creator? Maybe
Right.
you're a business owner and you need to create videos. Where do you fit in these days?
Well, I recently had a conversation with somebody I freelance for, and they were really enthusiastic about AI. But they expect us creators to teach them. I mean, they have an idea they want and expect us to use it for them for their benefit. But we're kind of unaware of how much the tools can do, what's legal, what is that you create that's gonna be just yours. Because that's the other thing. You create something with AI, you don't own it. It's a woozy wazzy, right? It's floating up in space somewhere now. Because you ran a prompt, now the prompt created something, and that something can be used by somebody else, and they just change the face or whatever. So that's where we are right now. I wouldn't know at this moment, right now, today, at this second, what I'm gonna tell my client. Well, yeah, let's just do it in AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous unless you use unless you use their people, unless you get somebody talking on camera, then take that and animate it somehow. But then when you do that, then do you still own that AI, or is that AI now in the universe?
Yeah,
So it's
there's a
scary,
lot. There's a lot of murky waters there.
right?
But
And
yeah,
I'm looking for right now somewhere where I can get educated, go somewhere where I'm a few weeks, learn about AI, learn about the legalities, most of it, because everything else is just prompts. I mean,
yeah.
it's really it's foolproof the way you make it, but
Don't you think that's a little? I think it's smart to do that, but because it's shifting constantly. I mean,
right,
day to day, week to week. Uh, is that really like, do you feel like you'd be spinning your wheels a little bit in terms of that legality? Because it could shift and change. I mean,
Well,
back in the day when Napster was like illegally, uh,
posting.
streaming music,
Mhm.
now it doesn't even matter like where you download your
Well,
music
it
from.
does. Spotify does pay pennies, but they pay the musicians,
Right.
if you want to use Spotify. Something
But
happened
what
with
about
Spotify.
SoundCloud? I mean, SoundCloud, you can almost get almost anything there.
Well, you can post your own music there, but they don't carry copyrighted music, do they? I'm not really a user of SoundCloud. I have
I don't know.
friends, musicians who post stuff there,
Hmm.
hey, come check out my SoundCloud account, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, now, right, the creative space has become watered down. Even like movies, you see a movie on theaters and on TV at the same time. Like, I guess I'm not going to the movies if I can watch it at home. Uh, but your question was actually, where does that the freelancer, yes, we need to be educated. We need to know what that education is, and that's the hardest thing that you're saying, that it's so open right now. How do we get educated? I mean,
Mm,
Adobe just throws you in as an Adobe user. You go, here's another software for you to use. Play with it, but once you learn it, you're gonna have to pay us more money.
right.
You know, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's scary as a freelancer, but we're gonna have to use more of the tools. We're using the AI tools provided, for instance, like audio, right? Audio right now is much easier to fix
Hmm.
thanks to AI tools. I could record something outside in the wind on my phone and then bring it inside and remove the wind and make it richer and everything. So those tools really help the creator when it comes to things of that nature, like technicality. But does it help you create something? I know people who use ChatGPT to write and it doesn't write anything good, you know. And you may
Right.
give you an idea, but everything else is cliche because it borrows from everything else. So it's not gonna be
Yeah.
original.
I disagree a little bit with you on that in terms of like, if you get into it, you can like but it is a back and forth. You have to sort of get into the weeds with the LLM that you're using and tell it, okay, like one time I gave it like a metaphor. I want you
Mm,
to say something like this. And it
mhm,
used the exact words in the metaphor. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to spit it back out at me. I want you to, stack on top of that. And eventually it got there. It took a little work,
mhm.
but yeah. So I think that when you work with an AI,
Right.
you can start to give it guide rails as to exactly what you need and then
Yeah.
and then there's less cliche stuff in there.
Right. Yeah. I guess we have different creative paths. I rather sit down and wreck my brain
Oh,
and
no,
new stuff. I mean, I've read a lot of books, I've seen a lot of movies, so I know there's a language to use already. Maybe AI helps you access it quicker. But then, what is the difference of using AI to write something or watching just digital sports? Watching, okay, I'm gonna watch a basketball game that was created by AI. I don't know what the
Mm,
difference. I don't know what the outcome's gonna be. You know, but I'll watch the game, and these people will look just like humans, and they'll dribble the ball just like humans. Maybe they'll be a little more exciting because they were able to shoot from really far or dunk really high, jump really high to dunk, whatever. We're in the same thing. We're in that same world where like AI is going to take over our reality. But anyway, I'm getting a little too existential
that's pretty
right
good.
now.
So you
Yeah,
touched on this earlier.
yeah,
Where the cost level of AI. So one of the things we
right,
want to mention is when it comes to production costs,
right.
AI versus live action, uh, where's the value? Like we
Is
obviously know that if you have the money, like you
right.
said, if a personal kind of thing, it becomes a little expensive, but for a production company or a project, uh, spending the money on AI, is that better than
Yeah,
spending a
for
little bit more
corporations,
for
for
live
corporations,
action?
for corporations, people with money, studios, it's much easier for them. It's much cheaper for them. I've seen those commercials, this car commercial where there's no humans. There's the car, which is their car, right? And animals. Animals are driving. There's a bull hitting the car, what have you. You can tell it's all AI, right? Then they get a voiceover. The voiceover is probably AI. I'm not sure. The AI voices are scary good. AI voices, you can change the inflection. You can change how fast they speak. You can change the tone. If they're happy, if they're sad, you can do all that. AI voices now sound basically human. So voiceover people, do not pursue a career in voiceover. That is done for. That is over. So now you have that voiceover created in the commercial, and then you already have your product, so nobody can steal your product. If you put a Ford Jeep on camera, AI cannot steal that from you. Now nobody else can use the Ford Jeep in their spot, because it's their IP, right? But then everything else is created. Everything else is AI, and you have the money. You can have you have the script. You have maybe an editor. You have an AI person. You have the director, and you just sit in front of the computer for a few days and spend a few weeks and spend all these credits, and it's still cheaper than actually going out, shooting a commercial in the desert, bringing a car, bringing a stuntman, bringing an actor, then have to pay the actor residuals, for
Mhm.
sure. So in the long
Well,
run, they're going to save
you
so
can
much
work
money.
it in some ways to hire a non-union situation where it's a one-off. You pay them for the production day, and then
Right,
that's it. So you can
right.
save costs on that kind of stuff.
You have to
But
go to the country though, because if that actor is SAG, that means he's trained and he's
mhm,
good on camera, or he or she is good on camera, and you want to have them talk on camera. You get what you pay for. If you get an amateur non-union, you get that. You get amateur non-union, unless that's the style you're going for. But for years, you and I worked at an ad agency, and we very much know they will go to Argentina, they'll go to Ireland, they go to South Africa, and they shoot Americans, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
if
yeah.
there,
That's
and
like
have to pay them residuals.
90% of the stuff that I was working on. I
Right,
was, cutting all the footage. They would go to South Africa and shoot this stuff, and the unions are different. They can do just a one-off. They don't have to pay
right,
the actors residuals.
right.
Uh, and those guys are happy to get that money. The money goes
Yeah.
further there.
Well, streaming does that too. Streaming, I know actors who've been hired for movies and tell, okay, we're gonna pay you this much money, a one-off, but no residuals. Actors live off residuals, because you'd rather take a little less, knowing that in perpetuity you're gonna have a little bit coming in every month, because it adds up, and your family's gonna have that once you leave.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, it varies that. And so anyway, I'm going into the movies, I'm going to commercials, but as freelancers, that's our work. It's being you never know what you're gonna get hired for, and AI is taking away things like that, especially for your editors. I think people who work in post is really everything's being affected,
Yeah,
but post
absolutely.
mainly,
Every part of our lives.
because you get
I
rid of
think that
animation houses
it was
altogether.
funny discussing over the holiday with family and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, I don't use AI." I said, "Well, it's still affecting your life. Did you get something from Amazon? Did you
Right.
did you pay a subscription fee for something this
Right.
month? All that
Right.
stuff is AI."
Right.
Um,
Last thing.
so you think AI production wise is better than live action? But I
No,
think that
I didn't say better. I did not say better. I said cheaper.
it is cheaper for
Right.
sure.
Cheaper. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but live action's better.
Of course, live action is better, especially doing something. Hey, there's a movie called Hamnet out right now. AI cannot do that. AI cannot bring anguish and the loss of a child and all that in front of a camera. And you can
Yeah.
do that with AI. Yet, yet, right?
Short form is still a major opportunity for video creators. So, and that's what's sort
Create,
of the
sure.
Yeah. So for the,
Not for workers or creators. Yes.
yeah. So in this realm,
Mhm.
I know that so for instance, shorts for us, they get a lot of views, but,
Right.
um, there's still that, and that's important, but we also want to engage people. So there's still the ability in a 30-second, 60-second, 90-second spot that really can hit emotion, and we buy out of emotion, and can really get your business, your video to get calls to action, people to engage with you, and it still is a very viable format. So as we move forward through 2026, I think that that's something that really is an important aspect to know. You don't have to go for long form. You don't have to worry that your 10-second spots, those aren't going to really sell, but
Mhm.
if you have a 30-second thing, they'll get interest, but you want to have a little more information, a little more engagement to understand what your business is all about.
Right. Production wise, you can shoot something long, right? 'Cause if you have a lot to give, you have a lot to give to your clients or to your customers, you can shoot something long, and from that long piece, you can grab material for months. Because that just happened to me last year.
Perfect
I had
point.
cut like
Yes.
a 6-minute piece for a political candidate. We never used that, but from that thing, we pulled so much material, so many 30-second spots, 6-second spots, vertical, one by ones for Facebook and LinkedIn. Bunch of stuff for Instagram and any in all social platforms.
And
So yeah,
you've talked about this before, over, was it in China or Japan, where they do the micro
is it
store?
Korea? I think it's Korea.
Was it
China,
Korea?
China too. Yeah, China as well. Yeah, yeah. They do these micro dramas, right?
Right. So you can shoot a whole story, and then you have these 30-second spots that tell the whole story. And that's great for businesses. I think, you leave
Yeah,
little cliffhangers, people get
right.
interested, they want to watch the next one. It's
And then
amazing.
right. Because then your ad goes in front of it. Now, in both ways, if you create the drama, you sell spots in the front, the middle, and the end. And if you are a company owner who has a spot, you put the spot in these shows, and you get a lot of eyeballs. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah, short content is the form, right?
Yeah.
Now, what was I going to say? What did I say for workers? Yeah, for workers right now, it is hard finding that work. Us just right now, because we're competing with AI. So
Hmm.
it's that we have to learn AI in order to have that as an option to provide to our clients, right? And that's what we are right now. Right now, at this moment, is live action or AI. Now you're saying we're going more to the live action. Hey, I prefer that. We're actually working on a live action thing, not working, but a creative live action thing today, right? So it's like, yes, live action will always win out, especially in the more creative, the more fiction side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just
Yeah,
so many nuances and stuff. I was watching an old noir recently, and just the amount of detail that they took to do the lighting just right in the scenes, and I just was paying attention to that because I'm interested in that. And uh, the lighting that's set up around them that gave the actors the space to perform, even when they weren't speaking. Like I always think about, okay, when the director is talking to these actors, how much of how much direction did they actually give them, and all that nuance between a look, or just a touch to the hand kind of thing, just so much more real than these created AI scenes that people are coming up with. The AI stuff. Oh, you're
but
muted.
now, yeah, well, I was because I was moving my chair. But now you feed all that stuff to AI. There's thousands of film noirs. I have like 600 movies behind me, right? I take the 600 movies, I digitize them, and I feed them to AI, and I tell them, all right, I want a film directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Katharine Hepburn and Steve McQueen, and takes place in outer space, you know, and it's kind of like Star Wars, but has an alien feel to it. that's gonna be the future, right? And you can kick something out. It's like, again,
Sounds like a pitch. Sounds like an elevator pitch.
yeah, but it's like a few months ago or something last year, somebody made all these like, what if Wes Anderson directed this, right? And they took Star Wars and made it look like a Wes Anderson film, the 90-degree camera work, the
Everything's
infinite angle, what do you call that?
symmetrical and
Right,
everything
exactly, all that.
like has a rhythm. Yeah.
The pastel colors, the somebody being quirky, like the whatever it is, Man, I love Wes Anderson. His last movies have been so bad.
I'm only drinking my coffee.
I'll have all the Wes Anderson films. Yeah, I love Wes Anderson, but his last few movies, man, last 3 movies,
I
man,
think
he's breaking my heart.
Since
breaking my heart,
Budapest,
man.
since Budapest, I think that was his
Since
last.
Budapest, man. Well, Moonrise Kingdom was good. People love Moonrise Kingdom,
Yeah. Okay.
But then the last 3, oof, man, painful. Anyway, I don't get. Come on, Wes, you can do it.
Wes, I know you're watching this.
Of course he is. Wes, you gotta just do something different, man. Do like David Lynch did. One day I'm gonna do a straight story about a guy driving on a John Deere lawnmower to go see his brother. Yeah, he can do that.
I love the story behind that. Though.
Do something totally different. Yeah, that's all.
Absolutely.
Anyway, with that
all
said,
right. Well, I think we covered everything for
yes.
now, and that's it for 2026. You got everything you need. No, we'll be back next week. Like, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear from you, of course, about anything that you want to hear from us. If there's a topic you want to hear us talk about, please feel free to message us and subscribe in the link below. Again, this is Creator Fury, and we'll see you next time.